We can see most animals in the wild, they don't get flus, they don't have all of these things. How are they able to survive? Instead of us just going along with the system, sometimes we begin to question, how come a tiger, a lion is not having a heart attack? How come a giraffe, an elephant, the animals that are left in the wild that man has not altered, what is going on that they're able to just live freely without disease? You don't see them wearing glasses, you don't see them having heart attack, you don't see them having high blood pressure and diabetes, because they're literally in tune with nature. They're letting the intelligence of the divine to take care of them. Yes, I was speaking to you for the 12 years. It's mushrooms. Yeah. I got you. It's good. Yogurt.
Wow, beautiful. Dan, tell us what you think about it.
Maybe like, whenever you do this type of my Instagram, I'm not sure. I was like trying to get life together for a couple of times.
Do you like spicy?
You like it?
Although spicy.
This is a vegan potluck in the Houston home of Dr. Kang, Zulu Kang, a naturopathic doctor. Hello, Dr. living in Texas.
Yes,
how are you?
I'm very blessed. How are you?
All right. It's a great event you're having today.
Yes, sir.
What are you having?
We're actually having a vegan padlock. We have this every weekend. This is just a way to be able to create awareness, where people bring different kinds of, foods which is vegan, and then other people can try, and then other people can see how easy it is to be able to make vegan food.
Dr. Kang heals his patients with only natural medicines and teaches them how to live healthy and balance their lifestyles.
Here in the US, people with melanin, the whole system of medicine originated from us. Some of us were born into medicine. Some of us, our great parents were shamans. They were healers who healed so many people. So I was born into this way of, of medicine. There's not, you just won't find someone who developed up to 2,000 formulas without knowing what they're doing.
Some of Dr. Kang's formulas are listed here. Grandpa's Limitless Remedies.
Well, Grandpa's Remedies was an inspiration from, as the name implies, my grandfather. I was talking to my sister and everyone was thinking, this medicine that our great-great-grandparents used to have that is lost. But little did they know that I was actually living it. That, I inherited a lot of all this knowledge. And whatever I did in life, I always found myself being pushed, to continue this medicine, to continue on this spiritual path. So Grandpa's Secret was inspiration from my grandfather. One of the main things we have on Grandpa's Secret is the super cleanse or the rock star cleansing. This cleansing has over 101 different kinds of herbs. When you take this cleansing, what happens is, because it has a lot of adaptogen herbs, it helps your body, comes back to natural.
When I met Kang, well, actually, back before I met Kang, I was very, very sick. When I was young, I took medication at a very, very young age. Not my choice, but because of my parents and the way I was reacting to my environment, period. I had they thought I was seasonal allergies. They thought I had several different types of ailments. But what happened is if I was to eat anything and then go work out, then I would break out in hives. My throat would close up, and then fluid would go into my lungs as if I was allergic to whatever I ate. And I went to the allergist, tried several different tactics. They pricked me twice a week, every week, and they prick me all on my limbs and try to test and see what I was actually allergic to. They couldn't find anything, but they prescribed me everything. They gave me medications for every type of ailment that they can think of, and they just said, try this, try that. If this doesn't work, then we can come back and go back to the drawing board. When I took all the medications they prescribed to me, it was nasal spray, it was Benadryl, and histamines, antibiotics, pretty much everything with anti and every other type of medication I couldn't even pronounce myself. And they gave me medications for those medications because of the side effects of those medications. So I just, things just got severely worse. I even went to the respiratory doctor. They said, maybe I have asthma. So they gave me an inhaler, of course. They gave me more nasal spray. So basically, I'd go out throughout my day with a whole diaper bag of medications that I had to take. Otherwise, I couldn't, be around. I've almost died from this ailment twice. When I met him, he actually diagnosed me by sleeping. Within a week, I was scared of something I was, struggling with all my life. And all he did was, he educated me on my diet. He educated me on, lifestyle, because most of the ailments are mainly lifestyle.
If you Google any disease, someone has always healed themselves from it. And the people who've healed themselves from it, these are people who've taken responsibility of their health in their hands, because no one will ever take good care of you than yourself. The greatest doctor for this body is you. So it's very important that you know that if you're counting on someone to take care of you who've not taken care of themselves, they can never do that.
I'm very much interested in this list.
Okay.
So we have 10 pages here, front and back, but you have
133 formulas as of today.
Grandpa's secret as of today, I have developed more than 2,100 formulas, which simply means I have a remedy for most of the ailments that a lot of people are suffering from.
If you are sick, chances are that what ails you is listed here on this list. All right, so let's go to the list. On the list, the first thing is aches and pains.
Well, if we look at disease as a whole, it's very, very simple, because if we look at, for example, animals, they have a sense of knowing when they're sick, and every animal in nature, when it's sick, it doesn't go to any other pharmacy, it goes to nature's pharmacy. So even animals that do not eat plants or that do not eat herbs or whatever, you find them eating these things because they know the only remedy is nature. So when it comes to the human, disease is actually very simple. But because man is a very complex being, he likes complication, So that's why I decided to come out with all these different remedies. But at the core of every single disease is normally what we call inflammation, and it's mucus. And if we look at disease and bacteria, they don't live in an oxygen environment. They live in environment that are acidic. Every disease and bacteria lives in a mucus environment. If you look at mosquitoes or whatever, they don't like the clean waters, they like the dirty water. If you look at some certain, insects and bacteria that are of very low pH or whatever, they're always seeking for very dark and like sewage area. So we must pay close attention to that. And if we understand that, it's the same thing. So if we have a lot of mucus concentrated, maybe in a woman's breast or whatever, we'll call it maybe breast cancer. If we have mucus concentrated in the joints or whatever, like, oh, they have arthritis. If we have mucus concentrated in the testicular area for men or whatever, we'll say, oh, they have testicular cancer. So it depends on where the mucus is concentrated. It's really not rocket science. That's why we don't see animals wearing glasses. We don't see animals, getting sick the way man, is getting sick. It's because man has derailed away from his creator or whatever. So he's having to suffer. We still have cultures, like even the indigenous cultures, that live in Africa, in the jungles, in the Amazon. Some of them, they have no hospitals. They've never ever seen a doctor. How are they able to heal themselves? Because they had a sixth sense of really understanding disease or whatever. They knew most disease was just one cause. It was inflammation. So despite all that list or whatever, 99% of all of this is all mucus and inflammation.
Can you introduce us to some of your guests?
Yes, this is Mr. Peter. Peter is a businessman, and that's Peter's wife.
Hello.
Same here.
Can you tell us something about Dr. Kang?
Yeah, well, we met through a mutual friend, Dr. Nolly, about like 2 years ago in Las Vegas. Yes, he's a very swell fellow. Yes, learning a little bit about his practice and his unorthodox, if I may use that word, unorthodox Eastern medicine. Anyway, combination of East and West, I guess. Yes, very tricky. And as a matter of fact, my wife and I have been taking it for past 3 weeks or so.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks or so, yeah.
Yeah?
We take about 10 to 12 different pills per day. We're taking for my wife, taking for my headache, heart problem, and weight loss. And she's been feeling better. She's also taking something to reduce the stress as well. And I've been taking the nutritional supplement, to enhance the mineral loss and what have you in the body.
Okay, the food for monkeys, banana, the food for squirrel is not, the food for rabbit is carrot. What is the food for humans? But if, the way we know the food for humans is by going out in nature and looking what do we see most. It's greens, it's vegetation. That is what we see most. That is what human beings should be eating.
Hello, how you all doing? Nice to meet you. I'm Wisdom. I'm a storyteller, and I'm telling a story about Dr. Kang.
Magic wand.
What is that?
It's a magic wand.
Tell me about your magic wand.
Well, what this is a crystal stone. It's called a selenite. What selenite good for is that they're grounding stones. And then when you add the copper to it, it becomes almost like a conductor. So holding one of these is literally like walking barefooted. And the red robe is for protection, just like what, in the Bible when they said every child of Israel should kill a lamb and put the red blood on their doorstep, so when the God of death comes, is going to pass over. So red has been represented by so many cultures, the alchemists, the Jewish, the Hindus, and also the Buddhists. Most of the time, we've tested it where we've given it to like CEOs, people who are very busy life, and we've given them to hold this for 1 month. To spend time with it, they sleep with it. After 1 month, when we want to take it back, they say, no, I don't want to. Because what happens is they find themselves relaxing more, instead of being so hyperactive, they find themselves calmer, they find themselves sleeping better, they find their anxiety and their stress level, reducing.
Yeah, just holding on to it, just gives me a lot of energy, it gives me a calm feeling.
You've tried Dr. Kang's herbs?
Oh yes.
Which ones have you tried?
The super cleanse.
And how did it work for you?
Excellent. It helps to clean your whole system, your liver, your kidneys, your blood, parasites that are in your body. Helps to eliminate a lot of the toxins that just lay in your body. And the herbs work, in like a day, in 24, 48 hours. I've been battling cancer for 4 years. And they wanted to do chemotherapy with me. They wanted to do radiation with me. And I told them, no, I'm sorry. I just cannot do that. Because I know that chemical what it does. It's like third-degree burns inside of your body. What are they going to do for me? I just started, really learning more about the cancers and about the body and how to build pH in my body so I could start my own road to recovery. And this is year 4. And I'm doing great.
I'm going to go down the list and mention some things, and then you can comment on them. And here we have a cancer, tumor.
Well, just like I said, most cancer, 99% of all cancer, it's just inflammation. Depending on where there's concentration of mucus, then there's cancer. The cancer will be given a name. If one is having cancer, in their foot, then they'll have too much mucus concentrated, too much acidity on that part of the body. If they have it in their breast, it means there's too much concentration of mucus, acidity in the breast area. That's what forms, to the tumor. And when tumors are formed, this is the way the body is literally capturing all the mucus and putting it in a small ball. So this mucus does not spread all over your body and kill you. So if you discover a tumor, whether it's in your prostate, in your neck, in your blood, or whatever, this is actually a good thing, because the way the body intelligence is designed is that when it sees that, it sends these fighter mechanisms that go and capture all this mucus, drain it, and put it in a lump. And people be like, oh, we found a lump, in the prostate gland. We found a lump in the breast. We found it in the chest. This is the way your body is trying to keep you alive from dying. That is when, lumps are formed, because the body is trying to contain all this, dangerous acidity or fluid that could spill all over your body.
And I see female women's health here.
Well, female's health is very important, especially the modern age we live in, that especially women, and most of the time people say, oh, I want a good woman or I want a good man. But if you have this scenario, if you take 2 bottles and one you put dirt in it and then the other one was clean, which one will you choose? Everyone will choose the clean bottle. So often, we're telling people to put so many different kinds of toxins and all kinds of things in their body, and especially for women or whatever they need, because of their system is very complicated. Is very complicated than the ones of men. So women, they need special attention, to take care of their bodies than men. There's so many things, men can do and get away with it, but women, they can't. So women's health is very important, that they're constantly, putting the right nutritional things, especially due to their cycle. Most women are suffering from, low iron, because, every single month, their body is releasing, blood, and when they're losing blood or whatever, a lot of them, they become, blood deficient. They start having shorter blood, or they start having an iron deficient. It's stuff that is common, and a lot of them you see, especially the women of color, they start getting there, like, oh, I'm cold, I'm feeling very, very cold, or whatever. And then when they start getting to a certain age or whatever, their bodies, they become hard cold, and then they start developing almost like the bipolar syndrome, where one moment they're happy, the next moment they're sad, the next moment they're confused, not knowing. So all of these kinds of things causes for bad choices to be made, and then it affects maybe even the child, they might be taken care of, they might be buried. So it's very important that a woman brings his or herself to a state of wholeness, eating right, doing all the right things that is required, even things like deodorants that they put, try to use as natural form of deodorants, try to eat clean food. The reason why we even have body odors, smelling body odors, is because we're eating bad. The under the arms were made to perspirate. So if you're not perspirating and you're clogging that, then the toxins are not coming out of you. But if it smells so bad, then that should tell you a sign that you're eating dead things. And my whole concept is that everything that's dead has to be buried. If you see a difference between a dead cow and a dead human, there's really no difference. The two things stink.
Okay, now there's also male health.
Yeah, male health, just like the female health or whatever. Living in the modern world, we have too much poisons and too much toxins. we're consuming. So it's very, very important that we're putting the right things in our body, eating a balanced diet, so we can have proper health. If you see animals, they don't struggle with their sexual drive. They don't struggle with a lot of things that human beings are struggling with. And the reason being why, because we're clogging the pipe most of the time. We're not drinking proper water. We're not putting the right nutrient. Animals, they live in very, very simple in nature. They don't complicate their diet.
Okay, and there's reproductive organs.
Well, the reproductive organs, just like the male have their own reproductive and the female also do. And the reproductive organs are what allow, us to bring forth, a new being into being. And the ancient African, before someone was to conceive or whatever, both husband and male, both the husband and the wife, they took like months or a year to 2 years sometimes, or even lesser, from 6 months to 2 years, to clean up their bodies. They make sure that they ate the right things. Sometimes they say, oh, a child is retarded. And I say, oh, wow. You see, you can sometimes see the father is smoking, the mother is eating bad, or sometimes the mother is smoking, and, and they expect that the seed that is polluted to become good. It never happens. So sometimes people are like, oh, we're trying to get pregnant, and they're smoking. They don't know that the cigarette, is going to affect, the sperm. That what will come out of the sperm will also contain cigarette. And, vice versa with the woman. They're eating bad, they're doing all these things, and they're wondering why, the kids. 99% of the world is dysfunctional because we've not been taught how to co-create, how to bring forth kids that will literally change the world. That's why we're seeing what the whole problem in the world, because people just thinking, oh, we're ready to have a baby. But in ancient Africa, before people conceive or they planned, they prepared themselves, they made sure the plant, the soil was fertile. If you ask a farmer, how do you farm? He tells you we make sure we cultivate proper soil, make sure we prepare the soil to make sure that it's fertile. We try to find the right kind of seed. They don't look for seed that are dead. So if you're going to conceive, you should not be drinking, you should not be smoking, you should clean up your body so you can bring forth, so you can produce a good seed that is in turn can also produce. The reason why you see sometimes a kid or an adult or a man smoking is because the father did that. It was deeply into their genes, so it's just continue, So whatever is in us, we want more of that.
And body cleanser.
Yes, one of actually our super seller in the body cleansers. These are also, we use a lot of adaptogen herbs, but also called like the group of super herbs. It allows you to clean up the whole body from head to toe or whatever. And they work sequentially with different herbs combined together in a kind of a sequence, where each herb is, stimulating the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder, they work in harmony to be able to remove toxins out of the body and also break the mucous membrane so you can excrete these things out of your body either by peeing it or pooping it or by, perspiration.
And there's HIV/AIDS.
When it comes to the HIV/AIDS, these are viruses that were literally man-made in the lab, to be able to exterminate people with cholera. A lot of people still don't know about this, but you can Google on the internet that it was made to actually help to reduce the people with melanin, their population. It was used to annihilate most people of melanin, in the world. So that's why the HIV virus, the way it was, customly made or whatever, it mostly attacks and infected and is transferred through people of melanin. I volunteered to take, I know this is very, very crazy, I volunteered to take the AIDS virus, so I can show the world that I can literally cure it. And they refuse to give it to me, but most of the time it's just an infection. It's just it was made in the lab, but it's very, very easy to cure because it has to do with your state of mind. If you have a very, very strong state of mind, you can literally have sex with someone with HIV and not get it because not everyone gets it.
Vitamins, supplements.
Well, due to the deficiency of our food, the soils are so depleted. It's very, very important that we're supplementing because just like when we sweat, we're peeing, we're pooping, we're removing so much out of our bodies, and if you're not putting the right things, then your body will crumble one day. It seems like a plant. You want to make sure you always keep watering it, and then at some point it'll maintain its own self, but this, God is constantly watering them, regardless whether we water it or not. So it's very important, that the human body, we've been given custody over it, the creator. So if we go to a place that has minerals, then we don't, in the soil, then we eat the food, then we're mineral, sufficient. And then if we go to a place where we're eating food and there's mineral deficiency, then we'll be mineral deficiency. So it's very, very important that we're keeping a balance with what we eat.
Okay, the next one is addictions, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes.
Yeah, those are human weaknesses. Those are things we literally do to ourselves. And the number one cause of human addiction is self-love. When people don't love themselves, then they have addiction. When you see people that are addicted to even things like sugar or whatever, it's mostly they don't get enough touch, or they have not found that person they really love. If you ever meet someone who's madly in love or whatever, they're normally not addicted to sugar. Sugar is an emotional thing than a physical thing. So when you're lacking attention, you're lacking touch, you're lacking, that's why most of the time when we go to like restaurants or whatever, most people normally eat a lot of sugar. It's mostly women. It's been shown that, because it's more of an emotion thing. When they're not getting touch, they're not getting affection or whatever, then people begin to look up to sugar, both men and women. Kinds of things. So depending on where the spectrum is, if you have toxins in your body, you begin to crave for toxins. Like an alcoholic who start drinking or whatever, because his body is very toxic and acidic, he begins to crave for more of that which is within him, despite whatever the circumstances, whether it's drugs or whatever they have. But most of all these addictions also is affection and people running away from facing themselves, their true self.
All right, there's heavy metal, detox.
Well, due to a lot of environmental factors, in nature now, environmental pollution, where they're spraying things like chemtrail. I know a lot of our people, we don't really know what chemtrails are. Chemtrails are toxic that is being used for weather modification. It's sprayed from the sky by the airplanes and is dumping down on us. So a lot of us were breathing all these things. So to achieve wholeness, you need to be able to remove the heavy metal. And when we're talking about heavy metal detox, we're talking about chelation. There's some certain herbs in nature that are chelate by nature. What does is they bind with the heavy metals in your system or whatever and pulls these things out of the system, like arsenic, mercury, and chromium. Yeah, and some of the herbs are things like even cilantro and parsley. But if you see even a lot of people that are having like autism, some certain kinds of diseases, it's just because of too much mercury, too much heavy metals in your system.
So relaxation and rest also factors into this. How?
Yes, well, relaxation and rest is very important, and that's why we sleep. That's why it's very important that, because just like the heart, when it's constantly pumping, as you're walking, you're doing all the physical activity, or you're running, the heart is pumping very, very fast. So it's very important that every single day, we give it a rest, either by having a good night's sleep or by relaxing, because we're not human machines, we're human beings. And the term human beings, it simply means we're actually designed to just be. It doesn't mean you sit and be lazy. It simply means you try to do, but try to also keep a balance in this life, because as human beings, we're beings of balance.
חופים הם לפעמים גם געגועים לנחל, ראיתי פעם חוף של נחל עזבו, עם לב שבור של חול ואין, והאדם והאדם, ולפעמים גם כן יכול להישאר, נטוש ובלי כוחות, ממש כמו והצדפים כמו החול, כמו המים, גם הצדפים הם לפעמים לבית שתמיד אהבנו, והאדם והאדם, ולפעמים גם כן יכול להישאר נטוש ובלי כוחות.